Uh, I was gonna say orgasmic, but it's probably the wrong thing to say. It did. That's what it felt like. Honestly, I mean, the car wasn't that far. It's F4. It was like a slightly heavier and slower F4. It wasn't like set up very low. Not very high downforce. But going through the corners that fast, you're sitting that low. I can't really describe it. It's just one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
G'day, legends, and welcome back to the Press Room Podcast presented by Zwift Legends, episode 116. And we have a very special guest today. But before we get into that, let me remind you of episode 115 with Paul Collins, the Director of Engineering and High Performance for Oz Cycling. That episode is all about the men's and women's team pursuit setup and what they've improved, worked on, developed since the Tokyo Games through to now here in Paris. And it's a very well-timed episode because the men's team pursuit team just yesterday have gone into the gold medal ride-off final with a world record time, a 3:40. Now, that's actually rapid. That is rapid. And I want you to compare the times. Go and look on the stats on the Paris Olympic website. Compare the times, the average speed between this new world record and the team sprint top winning time by the Dutch in today's games. It's like 3 or 4 kilometre an hour difference, and one's 3 laps and the other is 16. So simply incredible. And if you want to find out how the Aussies have made such big improvements and what they've been focusing on, it's all in episode 115. But today's episode 116, it's Puck Moonen. Now, we all know who Puck is. Anyone that follows cycling, you will know her following from Instagram, her social media, etc. She was a professional racer for Lotto Soudal and a few other teams a couple of years ago and is actually working to get back to the top flight, and that is inside this episode. But I wondered over the last 6 months, I was thinking about this. When you have massive influential figures on social media, Instagram, whatever industry they may be in, if you don't know them, which is, mainly the case for everyone, you usually develop a sense of what you think they're like based on what you see. And that can be good and that can be bad. And it may change when you meet them or perhaps listen to a podcast where you're getting to know them essentially. And that is the aim of this episode today. I wonder, what do you think about Puck Moonen now, before you've listened to the episode? And what do you think after? So make sure you think about that throughout this episode. It is an absolute ripper, okay? Some great stories in here. Puck is, I guess if you could describe her, she loves to go fast. She loves cars, she loves bikes, speed, everything. And super interesting details in this episode. We talk about racing, we talk about Formula One, we talk about some funny and strange stories from her background, the most famous people that she's ever met, some of the great experiences she's had working with all these crazy brands, etc. And it's just a good app. I know you guys are going to love it. So, legends, of course, we can't go to our episode without saying thanks to our sponsors that allow this to happen, allow us to be here in Paris and at the Tour de France Femmes coming up. Zwift are the title sponsor of the TPR podcast and the Tour de France Femmes coming up. We've got our Watch the Femmes series, our special curated episodes of all the big stars that are competing at the Tour de France Femmes from August 12th. And those episodes will be dropping from the 12th and throughout the race. So let's hope some of the guests that we've got on get a couple of stages, and that'll be really, really nice. So look out for those. And if you're new to the podcast, make sure you follow along on Instagram and, of course, all the podcast players. And big shout out to Cycliq. You can see the description. In the episode description, you see the TPR10 discount code. Click on the link, find out more about the Fly 6 Pro, the dash cam for cyclists, and a big shout out to FE Sports. We love them. I love Wahoo. Wahoo is a product under their remit, and everything they make is just simply awesome. So, legends, it's time. Let's get stuck in the episode. It's episode 116, Puck Moonen. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, they're quite big, but you don't really realize how big they are. And then you see another cat and you're like, wow, you're tiny. You're
Yeah.
so cute. That's
What
when
are
you
the,
realize like how big they are.
what are their names?
Ragnar and Loki. So they're like Viking names. It's pretty
Really?
cool.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. When you said
Yeah.
Loki, it makes me think of Thor.
Yeah. Yeah. And Loki is like this kind of like a villain, mischievous, and she's the sweetest thing ever. So the name doesn't really go with the character of the cat. And then Ragnar is supposed to be very wise, and then that's like the dumb cat. So they don't really correspond with the cat's characters,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But it's quite funny actually.
Well, I've been following some of your updates recently on Instagram, and you've got like an injury happening at the moment.
Yeah, so it's been like brewing for a long time. So I had these days on and off. I I had a few bad days, but I always had like a few good weeks, and now it's just been more bad days than good days.
Mm.
So yeah, I broke my knee in 2019, I think it was.
Right.
And oh, I see the cat. There he
Yeah,
is.
yeah. That's Mr. Earl.
Oh, Miss. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, he's cute.
Okay, let's not get distracted by cats because
Yeah.
it's very, very tempting. I
Yeah.
could talk for hours about my cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I broke my knee unfortunately during the national championships, and it wasn't that bad, I thought initially, but when recovering, it was my first fracture that I ever had, so I didn't really know how to deal with it. So I just focused on getting left-right strength back into the balance, like 50-50.
Mm.
I ignored basically all the other stuff because quite a bit changes when you break a knee. It's quite an essential part of your body, and it kind of disrupts your whole chain of movement. So now I have hip issues that stem from that one crash. So the knee itself is fine, but
Wow.
it doesn't align. Like when I'm on the bike, my knee like wobbles, and that's from my hip. So yeah.
It's really tough when you have an injury, but there's no like clear end date. Like it's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, and it kind of like when you solve one thing, it just moves on to another thing.
Ugh.
So I used to have back pain after breaking my knee, and now I don't have any more back pain, but now it's hip pain, which it's always something. So it
Yeah.
just needs to be we need to go to the root of the problem, which seems to be the hip,
Mm.
and get it solved for forever, hopefully.
But you strike me as
Yeah.
someone who doesn't like to not exercise because it's
Yeah, but yeah, I can't be sitting still also because I get massive FOMO.
mm,
You see everybody else out training, you see everybody on Strava doing these ridiculous long rides, and you're just like sitting, not being able to do that much, and it does stress me out. But yeah, it's hard to train now when it hurts like every second of the ride, so that's a bit annoying. I do go out, but sometimes longer, sometimes a bit shorter because it's just too much. But yeah.
okay. Well, hopefully you can keep improving on that. It gets better. But with your cycling, you still racing. I don't know. Do you still think about trying to, almost in a way return? Because there's some athletes now that are retired. They're coming back because the sport has grown so much, and they'd still like to experience it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, with the Tour de France, that's well, Swift stepped in, and the Tour de France for women made a huge step up because of that. I actually met Eric Min, who's the CEO of Swift, recently at the airport, and I went up to him and I was like, "I'm really sorry for like intruding, but I just want to say thank you for just everything you're doing with Swift. I love it. I'm a big fan.
Mm.
And what you've done for women cycling,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But the whole the Tour de France femme, it sparked something inside me where I was like, actually, I would go back. I would
Yeah.
actually go back, but I need to sort these things out
Mm.
first before I get back. Um, but yeah, like racing a Tour de France, like an actual Tour de France, not like the one that we did back then, which was called La Course in just one day, which
Yeah.
was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
But nothing beats like a solid actual Tour de France with a general classification, multiple stages. That's amazing. So yeah, it did spark that fire inside me again. I would go back, but just with the right team. I wouldn't do it like I did before. That was just yeah. I needed a lot more support than I got with the previous teams, especially with the injuries.
Mm.
Um, and it's got a lot more professional. There's actually attention for things like mental health and recovery from injury. So yeah,
Mm.
but
Oh,
yeah, I would definitely go back. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. It's cool. It's so cool seeing the what I like most about the women's side of the sport, really coming into its own now is that you just get like if you're a fan of the men's side, you just get another whole channel of your favorite sport. And all these new, all these new women are coming through from other sports now because the cycling is more of appealing to do as a career.
It's always had that potential. It
Mm.
always did. But we just had to make it a little more appealing in terms of races. So now we have a lot of races that are the same, like
Mm.
Liège, Bastogne-Liège. We have Paris-Roubaix, and it just appeals to people. People are actually going to be like, "Oh, let's watch the women's Paris-Roubaix," and we kind of needed it just to attract the viewers because when the people look at races, they will be locked in because the racing is amazing.
Mm.
Like the athletes we have like Dami Kazia is one of my favorites. She's
Oh yeah,
amazing, and
yeah.
yeah, I love her. And there's just so many beautiful, beautiful athletes out there with personalities, and
Mm.
it's just great to see them finally get like the platform they deserve.
Oh,
And we've been working for it like so long,
yeah.
so finally have it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be cool going there in August, hey, watching the racing like in the flesh. It's so exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're going to be there as well. I'm going to be there. It's my home country, so
Yeah.
it's going to be pretty special to see the race start in your own country,
Mm.
quite close to home as well.
How would you describe the Netherlands? Because I've never been. So how would you describe it to someone who's never been there at all?
Um, it's flat. We've got a lot of wind. We've got a lot of water. But it's very structured. There's bike paths. It's like a cycling paradise. We have a bit of hills actually. I live in the part where there's a bit of hills.
Mhm.
It's actually really nice. There's a bit of diversity in terms of nature.
Mm.
We don't have mountains, obviously, and the people are very, very straightforward, which I very much enjoy because you know what you're gonna get.
Okay. Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
too. I like that too. What about the food? What about the food culture? Talk to me about that, Puck.
Oh, I would say going to a local snack bar. That's all you need.
Snack
Snack
bar.
bar, a snack bar. Yeah, you get like fries. There's these snacks like deep fried meats. There's a frikandellen. It's delicious. Like
Oh, yeah.
whoever you give them to, they will love them.
Okay.
My boyfriend is from South Africa. He loves frikandellen. He's a big, big fan. Um, it's not very healthy, but it is very good, especially when you've done a race or you've done like a 5 hour ride. You come back and then you get really hungry. You go get fries. It's one of the best things ever in life.
Oh,
Yeah, obviously we have some other stuff as well, like pancakes, poffertjes, which are like miniature pancakes, like tiny
oh,
pancakes.
oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Stroopwafels, classic, great on the bike. Like it's great to eat on the bike. What else do we have? What's typically Dutch? Well, everybody thinks about cheese, but personally, I hate cheese.
Jeez,
Please
is
don't take
it?
my pulse, but yeah, like the
Is
Netherlands are one of the biggest exporters of cheese, and I hate cheese, and everybody in the Netherlands loves cheese. So I hope they don't listen to this and take my pulse, but
well, you
I
gave them
hate
other
them.
options too. You gave them the waffles, the meat thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I am
yeah,
selling it. I'm
yeah,
selling
yeah,
it to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's interesting. You
yeah,
said that your partner is what's his name? Callan. Callan.
yeah.
Callan.
Callan
And
O'Keefe.
so
Yeah,
he's from South Africa, and that's interesting because Dutch and South Africa are like similar. Like the
yeah.
language is similar, right?
Yeah, so it is the culture is quite similar.
Mm.
They do have language which is Afrikaans, which unfortunately he didn't learn because it was kind of the colonial language. So
Yeah.
it's a bit frowned upon to speak Afrikaans there now or to learn it.
Oh.
But yeah, like South Africa and the Netherlands have a bit of history.
Mm.
So yeah, unfortunately he can't understand me when I speak Dutch, but his parents can, which is great.
And where
You
did you
could
guys
talk shit
meet?
about him behind his back.
Oh,
Great.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And where did you two meet?
Dating app.
No
Actually, we
way.
met on a dating app. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I
Wow.
wasn't too picky as to where they would come from. I was like, if it's the right guy, like we're gonna make it work. So
Mm.
yeah. Met on a dating app. Yeah. And just like the first time we met, we actually met in Barcelona
Mm.
for New Year's Eve. It was pretty cool. Yeah, we've been inseparable since.
That's
Great.
awesome. That's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna start riding bikes as well.
Is that
When we
right?
met, when we met, he was like, "There's two things. You're never gonna see me on a bike, and you're never gonna see me in Lycra." I've seen him in Lycra, and I've put him on a bike. And now he's getting his own bike, so
That's so good. It's wicked because then you'd be able to ride together. That's an awesome feeling.
yeah, kind of like he's gonna slipstream me. But yeah, I guess that counts as together.
So, part another part of your, I guess, your career is like you work with brands and work in promotion and that sort of stuff. And when someone would open up your social media and have a look, it looks amazing. It looks like you're having the time of your life,
Thank you.
and it looks like you have, lots of awesome experiences. But of course, it can't always be perfect. So I wondered, like, what are some of the challenges that come with that?
I mean, it's difficult to balance, and it's very busy, especially when you try and be a pro.
Mm.
Um, and you have that on the side. Like it's not like you can fully focus on your training. So it does take a bit of sacrifice on both sides. Um, but yeah, in general, actually, I really like my life. I get to do a lot of cool stuff, and I very much realize that it's not that a lot of people don't get to do the stuff that I get to do. So I really, really appreciate the life that I lead. But yeah, I try to keep it real as well. Like I speak up a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
Personally, like, I've been through a lot, and I speak up about that. Like I've been bullied. I've been very, very depressed for a very long time.
Mm.
And I think it's a very important subject to talk about because I feel like a lot of athletes that you see online, they only post about when they win something and maybe like a big injury. But in general, it's just when things are going well. And I think that's where I distinct myself. And I'm also posting when I don't feel well. And I'm just honest about it. Like I feel like shit at the moment because this, and this is going on.
Mm.
And it's okay to feel not okay. And it's
Mm.
okay to ask for help. And yeah, I really try to leave the world like a little bit better than I found it.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I noticed, yeah, some of the things that you've mentioned in your last few posts that you put out. Yeah, like pretty honest stuff.
Yeah, so it's the most amazing thing ever is to receive a message like, "Oh, I've been bullied,
Yeah.
like you have, and I've always struggled with it, and now I'm speaking up and I'm feeling better, or now
Mm.
I've taken up cycling and it's improved my life, and or I'm showing this post to my kids, so when they get bullied, they know that there's a way out
Yeah.
and they can talk about it. So yeah, I
Mm.
think that's very important. That just even if you just impact one person, that's you're already making a change. So
Oh.
yeah, with my reach, I can impact more people,
Mm.
which is pretty great actually. Like
Yeah.
winning races is nice, but when you impact people's lives like this, you inspire them, and you get them to speak up. That's probably even better, a better feeling for me personally.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really good. So when you're, this is one thing I'm really interested to ask is, along with working with brands and partners, that sort of stuff, what's one of the coolest experiences that you've got to, do or experience, with your work?
Oh, that's a really good one.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I've been to Formula One a few times now,
That's
and I
cool.
love Formula One. I
Okay.
love cars. I love
Good.
race cars. So I'm
Mhm.
big fan. So to be able to go into a garage of a Formula One team, props to Williams. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh,
Invite
is
me
it
back, please.
Williams? That's
Yeah, and
cool.
Williams is
That's cool.
amazing. Like they're really fun. So yeah, to be able to actually sit in an F1 car, that's one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like I haven't driven it obviously, but just like sitting there, it was mm, it made me really happy.
That is,
MotoGP, big
yeah,
fan of MotoGP. I've been on a chopper recently, helicopter. That was really cool
yeah.
during the Strade Bianchi. So we watched the race from like above, and I
Really?
love airplanes. I'm really into
You,
airplanes and everything that flies. So I was like, that's
fuck.
so cool. I was sitting in a helicopter. I was like,
There's too many cool things you just said. Hang on a second.
yeah.
Hang on. So you were in the helicopter at Strada Bianchi watching the race.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is so
It
cool.
was.
What?
It
And so
was.
was this the helicopter with the camera on it for the broadcast?
No.
Just
Unfortunately,
F1.
it was yeah, it was just like well, from tutor the pro cycling team. So they
Oh,
invited like a bunch of people, and
yeah.
so we all went on a helicopter, and we were like, we had the best days of our lives. It was really
That
cool.
is cool. That is super cool.
Yeah.
Did you meet
Mm.
Fabian?
Did I make what?
Did you meet Fabian with that at Strata? Fabian
Oh,
Cancellara?
yeah. Well, he was supposed to be there, and
Yeah.
I think he broke his foot just before during a ride. I did a race. It was like 200 kilometers through the Swiss mountains. It was a bit ridiculous. And at the time, I was suffering from a lot of like abdominal pain. We didn't really know where it was coming from, and I had a really bad day that day. And I think at the 5 hour mark, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I went into a van because I was really suffering, and I
Uh,
just like fell asleep in the van because it was like we started at 1 a.m. during the night to like ride the entire day.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit ridiculous. And it was called Chasing Cancellara. So at some point,
Oh, yeah.
Cancellara came to sit in the van with me, which was so we
Always
did have a
good.
chat, but I was really sleepy. So
Yeah. That is
unfortunately,
cool. Yeah, that is cool. I got the feeling because we had Fabian on the podcast maybe well earlier in the year, and I got the feeling that uh Fabian almost has like an alter ego of when he was racing. It's like another world, a different Fabian, and then there's Fabian now. And I just really liked it because every time he'd talk about some of his previous career highlights, it was almost like he went back into racing Fabio. It was just interesting.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
really passionate.
yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
if he could, he'd still race probably.
Oh yeah, for sure,
He's
for
still
sure.
very, very fit. Yeah, it's crazy to see him ride.
And back to the F1, because I'm a massive
Mhm.
F1 fan too. I love it. And I was keen to ask about your experience at the race because that's definitely something that not many people would get to experience. And with Williams too, which is cool because they just announced signs. Carlos going there. What is what was the experience? What did you get to do throughout that weekend?
Um, well, to be honest, so I was with them for a whole weekend. I got to invite someone, like a plus one. I got my brother to come with me,
Oh, nice.
because he's a huge fan as well.
Yeah.
Um, I rode the track every evening, by bike after the
Oh,
race.
cool.
So
Oh,
yeah, so there's like I was in Zandvoort, and after 7, you can just go ride the track by
wow.
bike, or you can run the track. So I did that every evening. It's not for public, but it's like for everybody who is with the team,
Oh,
like mechanics, engineers. So there's
mm.
a lot of engineers running the track in the evening. So that was really cool. I sat on the sim a lot. They have a simulator in the motorhome,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
sat on the simulator a lot. Yeah, that
That's
was really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
We watched the race from the roof. We watched in the pit lane. I was able to watch like a pit stop from really up close, which was really cool.
Whoa.
So
That is cool.
yeah, I sent a car. That was absolutely the
Yeah.
highlight. Like I sent a
Is
car,
it
like it turned
is
into a child.
is it like is it I would think it'd be claustrophobic in there.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I mean, obviously, it was Albin's car, and Albin is like he's very tall. He's like 6 foot something, and I'm
Mm.
tiny. I'm like really tiny. So I couldn't even see the front wheels. That's how low I sat in the car.
Yeah.
But I recently did I drove an F4 car
Wow.
around the track in Zolder. And then I was actually like the seat was like measured to you, and you're actually like strapped in, the helmet on and everything. And they put like the shoulder pads down, and you
What?
have the Hansen device on the back of your head, so you can't really move that much and like laying down in the car. And
Wow.
that's before I head out of the garage. I was like, holy fucking shit, this is actually pretty like scary because you've got these straps and you're like all tucked in like this. And
What?
but yeah, then I went out, and that's probably the highlight of this year in terms
That
of
is
experience.
so
Driving
cool.
that full car, that
Yeah.
was ridiculously cool. It was dream come true.
How would you describe the car? Because I haven't driven anything fast, but I've been on the freeway. So we go 100 k's an hour on the freeway. So I've been that far. How,
Yay!
how would you, how would you describe the car, how it feels when you're like cornering? What does it feel like?
uh, I was gonna say orgasmic, but it's probably the wrong thing to say.
Oh, that's probably a
It
bit
did
cool.
it did That's what it felt like, honestly. I mean, the car wasn't that far. It's F4. It was like a slightly heavier and slower F4. It wasn't like set up very low, not very high downforce. So it wasn't that fast. But going through the corners that fast, you're sitting that low. It's I can't really describe it. It's just one of the best things I've ever done in my life, honestly.
That is so
Yeah,
cool.
I love cars so much.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was doing a little bit of prep for this episode, I also saw that you'd got a new car recently,
Yeah.
a, like a blue Porsche. It looks mint.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is. Yeah,
Is it?
it's I mean, I'm massively into cars, so getting a Porsche was quite high on the list, and I was always like, don't be ridiculous, like a car is a terrible investment. Um, and then at some point you're like, well, if you travel that much for races, because I drove it to Scotland now, which was 14 hours,
Wow.
um, it's not that bad of an investment, and especially not when you have a bit of fun driving it, because
Yeah.
it's amazing to drive.
Right.
I can't, it just, it has so many little gimmicks to the car it makes it such a joy to drive. And the sound is amazing, and I can drive it like slow as well, where it's very comfortable, and I can drive it fast. Oh, I love it.
You love cars. That's so sick.
Yeah.
What's the favorite bit inside the car that the best feature? And I'll just give you one of mine because we recently just bought a new car, not a sort of sports car, just a family car. But I like that I push the button at the back of the tailgate and it comes down. That's my favorite bit.
That's a great feature. That's a
Yeah.
great feature. Yeah, I think well, my favorite feature in winter is the steering wheel heating. I love that. I've always got cold
Oh,
hands. It's amazing.
yes. Oh, I like that.
And I've got a button that there's a little spoiler on the back that goes up. There's a
Oh,
little
that's
button for it, and there's a button that does like a launch or something. And there's a drive mode button on the
a
steering wheel as
launch.
well that you can like yeah, there's like a button you can press and then it like counts down. I think it's launch mode because we tried it yesterday and I wasn't entirely sure what it does. I was like, what's it gonna do? So we haven't like fully tried it yet. I haven't had it for that long. Also, you can't really try it on Dutch roads because the speed limits are quite low. But it has a lot of buttons that I like. There's also a button on my steering wheel for to open the valves of the exhaust. It's
Oh my
amazing.
God. Wow.
Yeah, it
That's
like pops when you lift off. It's great. I love it.
that's so. Will you have it in will you drive it to the tour?
Yeah, I will actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
So you get to see it.
I do want to see that. Sounds cool. I'm interested
Press
in
the
the launch.
buttons.
Yeah, the launch button. I'm interested in that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, hey, what about
We're
the
talking more about cars than bikes now.
yeah, I know. Well, that's the podcast. We often talk about
Yeah.
lots of
You
stuff.
like motorbikes as well, by any chance?
Well, I do like motorbikes, and I used to have I had a friend, or I have a friend who used to race Moto GP, Australian. He's called Brian Starring. I think he used to race for, I don't know, but he
Rings a
races for
bell.
Ducati in Australia now. But
Oh,
the Moto GP is awesome because I love watching the coverage on TV because the cameras are
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, I just like how many different manufacturers in MotoGP can win a race. It's
Mm,
very competitive. And
mm.
also when I follow a lot of MotoGP riders on Instagram, and a lot of them are very keen cyclists.
Yeah,
And my God, they work hard. They train so hard. It's it's very inspiring to follow them.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is. And just the way
I
they
love
turn
MotoGP. It's very
bikes.
physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you see how close they are to each other, like a qualification, and it's like the top 20 is within a second. And you're like, how? How
Oh,
can it be within a second?
have you ridden a
Yeah.
bike before?
Yeah, so I have a motorbike. I have an MT-07 now, Yamaha. I'm gonna swap it for a track bike. No, so I've been on a track once and I
Sick.
loved it so much. I was like, I'm not gonna ride on the road again.
Wow.
I'm just gonna use it for the track. So
Wow.
I really love everything that has to do with speed. I love driving cars on the track, motorbikes, race bikes, or like my normal bike, anything.
Wow. That's awesome. That's all it is. You like going fast. I can see it. That's good.
I love going fast.
Yeah. Now, what about this? What's a strange experience that you've had? Something that was a bit strange or just different.
Strange. Um, I think the strangest thing that I've ever had with, well, it was like actually my old team Lotus though. Um, so Tish Benoit, he won the Strade Bianchi, the really muddy
Oh
one.
yeah, in the wet, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrendous. Like
Hilarious.
we were just like covered in mud.
Yeah.
Um, and like after we had a party, and it was a very weird Italian party, like Italian style. And there were these naked girls having or like naked. They were like models, but not like they had like the shirts on, but like obviously no bra on, and it
Yeah.
was very weird, like very high heels, like plastic boobs, and it was just all very weird. And they were just we had a dinner and a party, and they were just like walking around with the team shirts on,
Like
but then
serving
like
drinks and
the
stuff.
nipples like poking through, and
Yeah.
we were just like sitting, the women's team, we were sitting there like, what is this?
You were all
Like,
there.
what? We were all there. Yeah.
What? That's weird. That is
That
weird.
was very, very strange. Yeah. I could see the
It's,
men's team being like,
yeah. Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean,
That is bizarre though for both teams to be there.
it was very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the word.
there's some interesting units of that team. That's that has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about this? Who is the most famous person you've ever met, Puck?
Ooh, oh, that's a very good one. I would say probably Martin Garrix, but he's
Oh,
Dutch.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay,
Garrix. Yeah, I think he's still number one, maybe EDM.
okay. Martin, how do I spell his last name?
Martin Garrix, Garrix, and maybe who else?
Oh yeah, holy
Oh, I
moly.
met the guy who writes all the Coldplay songs.
Oh
What is
yeah.
it called? Yeah, I didn't know it was him, but he had a Rick and Morty sweater on. So I was like, nice sweater. I watch Rick and Morty too. I had no
Yeah.
idea who I was talking to. He was just nice.
Respect for the jumper.
Who
Yeah,
else have I met? Probably like Charles Leclerc, like all the F1 drivers. Obviously, they
yeah.
are around in the paddock, so
Hmm.
you just like see them and meet them.
Hmm. That's cool. Yeah, that's
Like
cool.
that.
Like that. I've
Mark
met.
Cavendish. Yeah,
Oh, Cav. I love
I
Cavendish.
love Cav. He's
Oh,
great. He's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
I love Cav because he he was written off so many times in his career, and then especially the last 5 years, everyone, even his like original coach from his junior under 23 days, even he had given up on him, and then he still knew that, and I think he said it in a quote once, like he's like, you don't just become shit overnight. He goes, he knew he still had it, and I just love that he came back and he did it.
I got goosebumps when he did. I was
Oh,
like, I love this so much for him, especially after watching the documentary. I
yeah,
think it's on Netflix.
yeah, it was
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, I mean, we're always like following each other on Instagram, so you get a bit of an insight like how about the person. But watching that documentary, I was like, wow, you've really been through it. And
yeah,
then I was like, yeah, I really want you to win. Actually,
yeah,
you're a decent human being.
yeah, and also like the sacrifices that he made, not seeing his family because he'd obviously have to disappear to train and altitude, all that sort of stuff, and that would have been tough to always leave your family all the time. So impressive that he's done it. I'm sure his wife
He's got an impressive
back it
career.
up.
Oh my God, she's happy. She's definitely happy.
Yeah, although I think he might not be wrapping it up. I reckon he might go a bit longer because Astana will turn into a Chinese team, I think, with a so
Oh,
they've got
really?
a new Chinese bike manufacturer. It's a massive one in China, but I don't think anyone outside of
Mm.
China know. They're now going to take over the Astana team with a lot of money.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
gonna say it's gonna be budget galore. Like
oh yeah,
he might actually just do another year. Like why not?
I don't know. Maybe he could just do a
If I were him, I would.
yeah, because he might be able to just race the tour and not do anything else.
Who
You're a big
knows?
fan. You love cycling. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. I
That's
just love people do exceptional stuff.
mm,
It makes me happy to see whether it's a cyclist or a MotoGP rider or someone in F1 when I see them do exceptional stuff. It makes me happy. Like even like Max Verstappen, like if you see him do that last sector in Monaco, that one quali where he did like the
oh
perfect, oh
oh
my,
yeah
that was I was like, you beautiful human being,
yeah
how are you? Mm, that's just seeing people do that kind of stuff. And like Pitcock yesterday,
Oh yes.
So
Yeah.
many beautiful athletes. I just really enjoy seeing doing
Mm.
what they do best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be able to watch them
Mm.
do that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I was talking with my wife Megan earlier today, and we were chatting about your gym setup that you have at home. I love the gym. Every time I see it, it looks like there's something else in there. It looks so good. But
Hmm.
can you tell us what is the setup of everything that's in there?
Oh, it's all techno gym. Um,
Okay.
I am getting a Zwift bike though very soon,
Oh,
but I'm probably
sick.
gonna move it upstairs because upstairs we have like a nice space with Callan simulator. So he has a racing simulator with like 3 screens, like a seat. It's very nice.
Oh, cool.
Probably gonna put the Zwift bike there because
Yeah.
I love watching him race. It's really good when you go on Zwift and he's doing a race and you're just like sitting on your bike and just going a bit like this. I
Yeah.
always like
As he's
lean with
turning.
him when he
Yeah.
corners. Yeah, it just makes the time go pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's really nice. But yeah, everything is Techno Gym. So I have the squat rack, all the weights, mats, like the plyo boxes to
Oh,
jump on.
nice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite a big space. It's actually meant to have a car in the garage. That's what it was meant for. But now
Yeah.
it's just full of bikes and gym. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Looks sick.
and it has
Look.
my motorbike as well. So
Okay.
there's a motorbike. Yeah.
What's your favorite exercise when you're doing weight training?
Um, I think it would be. I think hip thrust. I love
Oh,
like the barbell hip thrust.
mhm. Yeah.
Actually, the only reason would be because I can really load it up,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
looks badass when you have like a lot of weight on it, and you're
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you
For
feel like
sure.
a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely a flex.
yeah, it is. It is actually. It is a flex, especially having your non-cycling boyfriend watch, and he's just like looking at the weights you load up, and he's just like,
Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask, what does Callan do for what's his work? Because he does something in racing. I couldn't work out what it is.
yeah. So he's a manager and a performance analyst slash performance manager in motorsports. So
Oh,
he coaches F3 drivers. He reads the data. He gets them to improve their driving,
wow.
improve the car, like the setup, everything around it. So it's a lot of work, especially like now. He's just come home, and now there's a bit of a break, and then there's the last part of the season. But it's
Yeah.
all the weekends are just flat out,
Oh,
traveling just flat out. But yeah, it's quite exciting.
geez. Everything is just racing, isn't it, in this household? That's
It
that's
is. It
awesome.
is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've got five last questions that will help the
Mhm.
audience learn more about you. In fact, we've learned so much already, which is so cool. But first one is, what is your last liked song on Spotify?
My last liked song.
Yeah.
Actually, I know that. That's gonna be
Okay.
Fred again.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's gonna be Adore You by Fred again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I love Fred again.
Mm,
It's yeah.
yeah, so
It's
many good
something
songs.
when Kellen and I got together, one of the first things we talked about is whether we liked paprika Pringles, which we both love. When we're already like, yeah, it's a match. And then
Yeah.
music, and we both loved Fred again. And so we were like, oh well, it's set then.
Perfect. Perfect match.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you got sometimes it's hard to think of on the spot, but just one that springs to mind, a favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, favorite movie or TV show? That's a really hard one.
Mm.
I think Interstellar would be my favorite movie.
Oh, that's a good one.
Probably watch it like 6 times. I
Mm.
still think it's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
TV show. TV show, I would have to say Game of Thrones because I really enjoyed watching that and I would watch it again,
Mm.
apart from like the last season.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
reading the books though, so I hope the books will be better. I
yeah.
kind of like stuck because I read too many books at the same time and I really need to focus on one book before moving to the other, but can't do that. Get distracted.
They rushed the last season, didn't they? On the Game
Mm.
of Thrones. They rushed it.
Yeah, they just had to make money, I guess,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
But Interstellar's good. I like that. It's hard when you think about the idea that, like an hour on some crazy planet is like 40 years on Earth.
Yeah.
That's, yeah,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's crazy to think about the fact that that's actually true. And there's just so much more out there.
Mm.
Yeah, I like space. I like physics in general. It's quite cool.
Do you
Yeah,
think there's another planet out there like Earth?
probably. I mean, yeah, the chances are quite high that there is actually. It's
Mm.
just bloody far away, and like we're never gonna discover it probably. Maybe
Yeah.
in a few thousands of years, or maybe they're gonna discover us. Maybe they look different.
Maybe.
I
I
don't know,
often
but
wonder,
yeah.
like, what another planet would look like. What do the people on another planet look like? Do they look like us, or do they just look completely different? Like maybe they don't have any arms, but they've got, I don't know, trees for arms or something. I don't know.
Trees for arms.
Yeah,
I
like,
am Groot.
yeah, I'm Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Potentially. I think they
Yeah.
would have certainly developed like some kinds of arms because it
Mm.
is like opposable thumbs like distinguishes us from monkeys. And we can do so much more with having opposable thumbs. So
I
we'd
think
definitely have thumbs and hands,
yeah, my
grippers.
Mr. Earl, who you saw before, I reckon he's got a thumb because he can pick stuff up. I've seen him pick up a jelly bean just with his paw, and he kind of had
Oh
it like
wow.
this. And he's on cue too. He knows I'm talking about him.
We're on time.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we're just on time. He's just like shh.
Oh, where's your favorite place to travel, Puck?
Ooh, I would say it would either be the Swiss Alps
Mm,
or South Africa. I really love South Africa.
mm,
I think it's the most beautiful country I've ever been in, but it's very dangerous to travel to.
mm,
Like you have to be like your security is on the top of your mind like at all times and
mm,
has to be.
mm.
Which in Switzerland you don't really have to worry about anything.
Okay, okay, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
Switzerland.
Have you been to Australia?
I haven't. Not yet. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
inviting me.
Well, Australia, we always love everyone to come.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's on the list, so yeah, we definitely will come to Australia at some point. It's just so bloody far away.
It's a long way, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's like 26 hours of traveling on a plane. It's
Yeah, I know.
horrendous.
We live on
Yeah,
the further side as well, so on the western side, it's even further. It's a long way.
it's too long. But for you, it's even more annoying because when you come to Europe
Yeah,
or the USA, that's a lot of traveling, and a
yeah,
lot of the racing is happening in Europe,
yes. I
obviously.
know. I know.
Yeah.
I get used to the time zone. I'm really good at the time difference, especially when I'm doing like podcast timing, because I know that the afternoon is always a good time for me because it's my
Yeah,
time, you know? Yeah.
yeah. So it's morning where you are.
Well, no, it's not.
It's night. Oh, so it's the other way. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Because the
forward.
difference is 12 hours.
No, it's 6.
Six is
Yeah.
not that bad.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good.
Oh, that's not yeah, it's
Mm,
not that bad.
mm.
I have a completely warped view of the world, like how far things are. I'm like, wow, that's so far away. Like it must
Yeah.
be a huge gap in time. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
6 hours.
Did
Mm.
you know that Australia, you know how when you see it on the map, and I've said this so many times on the podcast, and I actually said it to Nino Schurter, and he already knew, and he told me about the special website that you can see. But anyway, Australia on the map is actually bigger than it looks when it's on the globe. So like if you lay the map out flat, Australia is actually massive, but on the globe it looks kind of small, but it's actually way bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think same for Africa as well. Like
Yeah,
Africa is
that
actually
too.
a lot bigger than it's on the map, and Europe is made to seem bigger, but it's actually really small.
And
And
once,
like Russia as well. I think Russia is a lot bigger as well in reality.
yeah, and we were all
It's
one.
mad.
The
Yeah.
supercontinent. I think it was called, what is it called? Pangea. That's what
Oh yeah.
it was all one and one before it started breaking apart. I mean, if that's what happened, I don't know. It was called Pangea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting actually. You
Mm.
can see like the puzzle, like it kind of like fits into each other.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay. What is who are your favorite maybe just ones that come to mind, your favorite male and female cyclist right now, professionally?
Mathieu van der Poel.
Mm,
Yeah, Mathieu van der
okay.
Poel, favorite male cyclist. Also, I'm a bit biased because he's Dutch.
He's
Like
Dutch.
I know him personally. I don't know him that well, but like, he's really nice. I know he's a really nice guy. His girlfriend is lovely. She's amazing. So I
Good
just
on
like him
fella.
as the person he is. And female cyclists that I think Kasia. I'm a big fan of Kasia because of her writing style and
Yeah.
also just because the person she is, like she speaks up about certain things. I'm also a big fan of Evie Richards. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
her a
Like
lot
it.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I really like Evie. Yeah, I think she's amazing. Uh, there's a lot of I actually a lot
There's too
fan of
many.
a lot of female
Yeah.
cyclists. Yeah, I love Damie. I think Damie is amazing. Pauline is I consider her like a distant friend, but she's amazing.
Wow.
What I like about all the female cyclists is that when you get to know them, they're all such sweet human beings, which is it's pretty cool. And they
Mm,
all have a lot more to them than what you see. You see them
yeah.
just riding, but there's just so much more to them. Their personalities. It's yeah.
Yeah. That
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of the sport as a whole.
Yeah. I really like what you just said because that's what this whole podcast is all about. Because, if we're watching a bike race or we're watching an interview of a rider, often they've got the glasses on or you've got your helmet. It's like a mask, and sometimes the questions that are asked at races, or by journalists or something, they're just shit questions, and you get a shit answer with a shit question. So like the whole aim of this podcast is to imagine that just take away the mask and show who the actual person is so that whether or not the cyclist is a good cyclist or they're in bad form or they're the best ever, there might be something about them, their personality that you'll like, and then you'll become a fan. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I think a lot of cyclists these days, especially since the sport has grown that much and there's a lot of money involved in the teams
Mm.
as well, they get media training and it kind of makes them a bit boring because they can't just
Yeah.
say whatever they think. Like they
Yeah.
have protocols in place. You see it with Visma a lot.
Yeah.
Is that the interviews get a bit boring. I
Yeah.
like have some personality.
Yeah.
But do you know Geraint Thomas?
Hmm.
Because he is an amazing human being as well. I went to Ibiza with him last year, or like with him, like with a
Yeah.
big group. And he just went partying. And at some point he came back at like 5 o'clock in the morning, like absolutely spandangled. He was so drunk. And
Yeah.
he just went out on a bike ride the next morning.
Just
And he was just
wild.
getting drunk like pretty much every evening. But he was just like, well, I need my time off.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
I love that he does that. He's not doesn't
Yeah.
shy away from it, but then when he turns up to his races, he always turns up in shape, like for the big goals. And that just goes to show.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that's
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you can
yeah,
take the Welshman out of Wales, but you can't take the Welsh out of
no.
you can't. It's just in it. It's just who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Parker, last one actually. I'll tell you mine and then I want to hear yours. What is a brand that you would love to work with, whether it's cycling or non-cycling? And mine would be I would love to work with Rolex because I just
Mm,
like the watches. I like the
yeah.
Rolexes with the green backing. Just looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not wearing mine right now. I'm wearing a Whoop instead.
Oh, the whip's cool.
Um, Whoop is cool. I mean, I've already worked with Whoop, so that's already set
Whip
because
is cool.
I would love to work with Whoop, but I already do, so it's great. But yeah, Rolex would be pretty cool.
Mm.
Um, then mine is now off for repair, unfortunately. I
Oh,
would love to work with Porsche.
oh, let's go.
I didn't even get a fucking discount.
Yeah.
Let's get a
Yeah.
free car.
That's
Fucking hell, they're
so good.
expensive.
Porsche would be sick.
Yeah,
Would be sick.
yeah. Just like invite me for track days. I will come and happily drive some GT3 RSs on the track.
Oh my
I'd love
God.
to.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks a
I
lot for
think
your
we could talk
time.
for like another hour,
Yeah, I know.
probably,
I know. I know.
or
Well, hey,
two or three.
let's save that for Tour de France.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Yeah. And we're gonna need the hot tips on these snack bars, the cafes, everything. So
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
take you to one.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take you to one.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I have a talent for like sniffing out the right food and the right place to eat. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what we want.
I'll do that.
All right, legends, that's another episode of the Press Room Podcast done and dusted. A big thank you to Puck for coming on the podcast, and a big thank you to you guys for listening as always. Make sure you leave a review or a rating on Spotify if you enjoyed this one. And if you're new, click follow so you can get all the episodes coming, including the Tour de France Femmes, Watch the Femmes episodes, the special series, which will be coming on August 12th. And legends, I'll see you then. So I'll catch you on the next one.